Welcome to the ImageMaker Presents radio program. My name is Dr. Joyce. My goal is to inform, educate, and inspire listeners to achieve their fullest potential and feel the joy of happiness in their lifetime. My message as your host is, to achieve, you must believe. Our guest today is Jan Canton. She is the director and principal coach of Direct Success Coaching Limited. Jan is passionate about using coaching techniques and coaching questions to empower individuals to discover their full potential and embrace their greatness, and that is what this program is all about. Welcome to the show, Jan.
Thank you, Dr. Joyce. It's such a pleasure to be here.
So, Jan, what is coaching, and how is it different to other personal development approaches?
The first thing I think I'd like to say about what life coaching is that it is a mutually agreed professional partnership between a client and a coach. And the difference is that a coaching conversation is very focused in allowing the client to get to the heart of things very quickly. It works by moving a person to a new choice point through asking questions which allow a client to actually explore and understand and really construct new realities, new strategies, and new ways of functioning.
I think that probably there's an awareness there, too, isn't there?
Yes, very much so. It's always from a position of now. It's never ever any use in looking back. It can be useful to look back. But in coaching, one of the things that makes it very different is things are always from a position of now. And if we do need to look back, it's from, again, the position of now. And we look forward from the position of now so that it's a realistic way of looking into the future.
I'm sure that looking forward is the only way to go, because going back doesn't do any good. It's just wasting time.
Only for the learning, Dr. Joyce. If we stay in the position of now, we look for the learnings from the past.
Absolutely. Well, how does coaching work to benefit your client?
It is because it's from that position of now, and that we always look at the present state and desired state. So when a coach actually works with a client, they're actually, we're looking at goals, we're looking at outcomes, we're looking at the realities, we're looking at options, and we also have a well-formed outcome which creates a gauging, a measure for a realistic time frame. I always say goals are set and outcomes are met.
Wow. Would you say that again? Goals are fit and outcomes are?
Met. Goals are set and that allows outcomes to be met.
That is fantastic. Listeners, listen to that. That is wonderful. So I'd like to ask you then how you establish this clear view of the now or the current state.
The current state, of course, is being the present state of mind. And that's a really great question, Dr. Joyce, because it is important to be able to determine the readiness for a client in coaching. So what we do as the client is, as the coach, we sit with the client and we ask a lot of questions. Coaching is very much about, I love it, my coach in Virginia, Carol Goldsmith, always says, the client has the answers and the coach has the questions. And that really sums it up, because we constantly are mirroring back to the client what it is that they say. We all have our stories, and it may be very much the first time someone's actually hearing their own story. And it's coming from always a position of non-judgmental support. And when someone hears really what they're saying for the first time, they have this recognition, and quite a defining moment at times, that they're self-sabotaging themselves and how they're doing it. So the benefits, that's huge, and it really creates a very clear view of where they are now, and then that assists them in wanting to decide where it is that they want to go.
Well, I love the advice you have received. The client has the questions, the coach has the questions, and the client has the answers. I've heard that when you're with a client as a coach, that you should listen 70% of the time, and 30% you should be doing the talking. And that way the client does give the answers sort of to themselves with the help of the questions that you have posed to them.
Absolutely.
Well, how do we establish a clear view of this desired state?
Well, the first thing that the coach always asks the client is, what do they want? Because we always naturally know what we don't want, but many people have never been asked what they do want. So by asking that question, it creates quite a clear pathway for them to decide then on what they want. And once we know what somebody wants, we can then start looking at how they're going to get it. And that closes that knowing, doing gap. It's the first steps, if you like, to self-realization, which then takes us on to self-actualization. It's quite transformational.
That is great. I guess the simple way of saying it is first clarity, then focus.
Mm-hmm.
You can't focus without clarity.
Absolutely.
How do we establish you already told me how we established a clear view of the desired state. You mentioned a well-formed outcome. What is that, and what is involved in developing it?
A well-formed outcome is pretty similar. It's similar to, but different from, the SMART goals. And I don't know if your listeners have ever actually are aware of the acronym SMART, but SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And it is a model that's actually used a great deal in the business world. And it's really more a finite measure, if you like, perhaps more against dollars and tons and man-hours, etc., where a refined model is really provided with the well-formed outcome, or another wonderful model around the well-formed outcome, a more upgraded one, if you like, is called an intelligent outcome. And that, again, was created by my wonderful American coach, Carol. And she looks at asking people, apart from what it is that they want, once we've established what somebody wants, we then look at it from a position of it being positive. We ask the client, if they state what it is, what they want, rather than what they don't want, is it valuable to them? Does it express what actually matters to them the most? Is it controllable? Is it objective in sensory specific terms? Is it explicit? Can it actually be stated precisely in context of when or where, how often and with whom? And the most important thing, they're all important, but the one I would probably consider the most important is it congruent? Does it actually align with the client's beliefs, ideals, and identity? Because once we know that we are in a state of being, and we're very happy with what it is that we do want, and it does work very well in all areas of our life, then we're able to extend confidently on our boundaries. And that's where the well-formed outcome is a little different to the SMART goals. It just extends on it. Intelligent outcomes are smarter than the average goal.
They're smart, intelligent outcomes. I think that's a great way of putting it. And it's always good to remind people, even if they know what SMART means, and I think most of the coaches do, I think it's good to remind them of that, because sometimes we get lost in our way of doing things and we don't strive to improve.
Right.
So tell our listeners how to get in touch with you.
I would love to. I'm based in New Zealand, and I do actually coach internationally. I have www.directsuccess.co.nz or www.directsuccesscoaching.com. And my telephone number is on my website, but it's New Zealand, which is the country code is 64-7-846-5486. And my email address is also jan@directsuccess.co.nz.